We're good to start. It's 8:30. We're past the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hit the person, then go ahead and start.
Meeting to order at 8:32 a.m. and welcome. For the audience here today, the City of Glendora utilizes a hybrid meeting format to allow for participation both in person and virtually. In consideration of others and the business conducted today, please silence your phones and any electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. If you're interested in speaking during public comment, speaker cards are located in the lobby area at the rear of the chamber. Please fill out a card and submit it to the recording admin. Those participating via Zoom, please select the raise hand icon in Zoom before the close of the public comment period, and you will be recognized and unmuted. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate and respect your participation here this morning. I will now conduct a roll call. Request that the roll call be conducted. Just let me know if I'm doing anything wrong.
You're okay. You're running all right. So thank you. At this time, I would like to conduct an oral roll call and request that each member respond with present when their name is called. Board Member Davis.
Present.
Board Member Jarvis.
Present.
Board Member Snyder.
Present.
And Vice Chair Klinger.
Present.
Let the record show all members are present.
Thank you.
You choose someone.
Oh, Mr. Davis.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, does anyone wish to reorder or add to the agenda? Okay, now we're moving to public comment. Okay, we're going to open the public comment period. We invite members of the public to address the legislative body. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on and off agenda items. If you're in attendance, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording admin before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, speakers should advance to the podium, share your name and the subject matter you wish to address. If you're participating via Zoom, select the raise hand icon in Zoom before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, you will be unmuted. State your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss. And public comment cards. We have 2 public comments. Any from Zoom?
Let me look real quick. I'm so sorry. I don't. All I have is the consultants on there right now.
Okay, great. Okay, so first public comment card is Marketplace, Artisan, and Farmers Market, Sarah Kramer.
On or no? Oh, there we go. Good morning, board members. My name is Sarah Kramer, and I'm here today to speak with you about creating a weekly boutique-style marketplace in the heart of the Glendora Village. Before I go into more detail about the marketplace, let me tell you a little bit about myself and why Glendora is so special to me. Glendora, or G-Town, as we called it, is my hometown. I attended Collin Elementary, Goddard Middle School, and Glendora High School. When I think of Glendora, I think of a few key words: tradition, class, family values, and a strong sense of community. Growing up here, there were a few things that were certain. Fender Bender's Diner had the best milkshakes. Andrew's Clothing Store was my dad's favorite place to shop. Round Table Pizza was the hangout spot after varsity football games, and Collie Ford's Mustang convertibles were staples at the Glendora Christmas Parade. What did these places have in common? They were all family-owned small businesses. Glendorians and their many generations of families have and will always support local small businesses because they represent who we are as a community. They are our neighbors, our high school teachers, our best friends' parents who survived and thrived off of the patronage of the community. Over the last 5 years, I've been handcrafting custom-made tumblers for my own small business. I've had the privilege of vending all over Southern California and truly learning the ins and outs of what it takes to create a successful marketplace. Last year, I decided to start my own artisan market at Victoria Gardens Mall in Rancho Cucamonga, called Artisan Avenue. I brought together a talented group of local small business owners who share my passion for producing quality products with creative enthusiasm. My goal is to establish a weekly boutique-style marketplace where creativity meets craftsmanship and artisan goods, as well as fresh local produce in the heart of Glendora's Village for the whole community to enjoy. Let's create a long-standing relationship where we can cohesively work together to establish an amazing community event showcasing local small businesses. Please let me know if you have any questions and feel free to reach out. I also added on the third page probably are pictures of the event that my most recent event at Victoria Gardens.
Can we ask questions?
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about the relationships you have with food vendors, like farms and things
Yeah,
like that?
so it really depends on the locations, right? So I try to stay away from cooking on site. That involves way more permits. So prepackaged foods. But the other issue is if we do it downtown Glendora, I wouldn't want to take away from any of the small businesses. So we want to make sure that there's no competing food vendors. So right now, as it stands, it's prepackaged foods. Here in Glendora, I would like to reach out to local, like Plaza Produce.
Mhm.
I would like to see if they want to come in as you know, a farm to table thing. I would want to use our resources that we have here before reaching out to a farmer. But there are so many farmers who want to participate in things like this. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you wouldn't say you have relationships with farmers?
So I do
You do, okay.
in Rancho Cucamonga,
Okay.
and I believe that they would come out this way. But the goal is to create more local, right? And so there's a huge group of farmers who are willing to come this way. I live in Rancho, and so that's my business. My business is based in there, but I have a ton of relationships here. So like I said, I would start with Plaza Produce. They've been here for what, 30, 40 years-ish. So since I was a child. And so I would reach out there and then I would start sourcing local from here, from Glendora, from, you know, our local communities.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think, is this where we would have discussion about this, or would we actually create a?
So she wanted to come and introduce herself and see if you guys were interested. So, I mean, really, you can ask a couple questions, but not really get in too
Not
far
really
into
get into it.
discussion. If it's something that you would want to consider, then we can go, you guys can make a motion to bring it back. And then I would work with Sarah to putting together some more details for you to consider at a future meeting.
I think that just the spirit of this is something that I think that we would all want. I think one of the challenges that we're all having is this balance between the businesses that are on Glendora Avenue and other local or non-local vendors that come in, and one of the enduring kind of illustrations of this is the little blue flower truck.
Yes.
Okay.
She's here from Glendora.
Joelle is a florist on Glenora Avenue.
Okay.
And so we're always having this
Sure.
kind of issue between the and I don't want to get into this right now, but but sort of this idea, you know, Periwinkle sells handmade cards and jewelry and all of that stuff. And then you're going to bring in
Mhm.
your friends and vendors who do those things as well. And so that's always going to be the issue. And I would like to make a motion to talk about this again at our next meeting because I think it's worth talking about. But it's a wonderful idea, and we just have to figure out how that works.
Could I respond to that real quick? Would that be okay?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think people look at it as though we're competing, but if there's a local business, and that's where we partner, right? If there's a local business on Glendora Avenue or wherever in Glendora that provides this, let's offer them the opportunity to come out and to have their own, you know, little stand. And maybe that creates more business for them because the goal is to create longevity in Glendora businesses and, small businesses, and maybe there can be some type of partnership there. I think that's the goal. I absolutely don't want to bring in people who are competing, because the heart of Glendora, those small businesses, that's what it's all about. So that's what I did with Victoria Gardens also. I can't bring in, this wouldn't happen, but Nike store. I couldn't bring in competitive shoe salesmen or, whatever the case may be. That's not what we do. But just as an example, let's create a whole group of businesses that can coincide, work together, and really make it a great community event.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
It would be like collaborating with the businesses that are already established in downtown Glendora. Plus then adding more like the growers and things like that, like bringing in produce and things that we're not offering. Is that
Sure.
right?
So the idea is to work with you guys because the business's ins and outs. I've been removed from Glendora I'm not going to date myself, but for a few years. Maybe there are some businesses in Glendora that can't necessarily get on Glendora Avenue, but they have great products. They're small businesses that are just trying to thrive. So ideally, first, I would like to offer to maybe a florist on Glendora Avenue that would like to do a little booth, and they, just kind of grab and go bouquets, things like that. I had a flower truck at Victoria Gardens, and people loved it. People who are on dates at, during the evening, grab those. But yeah, the idea is to first, let's give Glendora small business the opportunity to come out and do that. My goal would be first to offer that. Then I would bring in other vendors.
All right.
Okay.
One more question.
Yeah.
So are you proposing that you would kind of oversee and communicate with all the different vendors if we want to move forward with something like this?
Correct.
I think what we've talked about previously is having a farmer's market, but specifically the conversation has been more around produce vendors, like local produce vendors, not necessarily a local business that sources their produce from wherever. Not that Plaza Produce does that. I really don't know. But I think we've talked a lot about bringing in like California, specifically Southern California produce vendors. So I'd love if you come back, if you could just tell us more about like the contacts you have with those produce vendors and their willingness to participate in a farmer's market.
Before we go into more discussion, since he did request to agendize, do we
Yeah.
have a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay, do we have any objections to it? Okay, so we'll bring it back for the next meeting for discussion further on this topic. So
And I think just to be clear, I think we need to have an internal conversation about how something like this would work for the bid businesses before we have a conversation about like a further conversation about how this would actually functionally work with this particular market.
okay.
I would love to be a part of that. I think previously, it's been them and us, right? There's two different sides, but I believe that everyone can work cohesively together and it could benefit so many different people. So
I think it could too. I
Right.
think we have to
sure.
talk about exactly how
Absolutely.
that's going to work, because like I said, there's been a lot of internal discussion about that here. And but yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thanks,
time.
Sarah.
Thanks.
Okay, Karen Garcia is next. Hi, Karen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Garcia, and I'm the Vice President of the Glendora Historical Society Museum.
Hi there.
And I wanted to invite you to an event that we're having next Thursday, March 14th. It's Pi Day. And we celebrate Pi Day. This is, I think, our 5th year that we're doing this at the museum. Our address is 314 North Glendora Avenue, and Pi being 3.14. And it's just an afternoon of pie and coffee and gathering with community members and neighbors to just take it in, enjoy the day. So, and also take in the museum if you haven't been there in a while. We've made lots of changes at the museum, and one of the things that we have, so anyways, I hope you will all please come to Pi Day 4 to 6. But one of the things I also wanted to share is some of the things that we've been doing at the museum with the Historical Society in recognition of Women's History Month. last Friday evening, we had an event at the Bidwell Forum where over 100 people attended to share in recognizing 13 women from Glendora, past and present, for their contributions and their achievements that they've made to the community and beyond. And we recognize people such as Sarah Ludwig, her mother Betty LaFetra. We had also our first pioneer settler here, Mary Alice Cullen, who actually established the community for us. So we had a number of women that we recognized as part of Women's History Month, but also to share the amazing achievements that these women have made in Glendora. The other thing I wanted to say is, in addition to Women's History Month, we're having Girl Scout work on her Gold Award. It's an event that will be held on Saturday, the 23rd, where she's going to bring in her Girl Scout troop, and it's also community members can come in. She has a project that she wants to involve community members with the history of Glendora. So that event will be taking place from 11 to 2. And also at our museum is on display this month for Women's History Month is panels that will recognize and showcase all of the events that those 13 women I mentioned, their contributions to the city. So there's a big laundry list of everything that they've done and how they've helped to build our community. So basically, I wanted to come to an event as well as take in a lot of the Glendora history and achievements that women have made here. So thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
I have a quick question.
Yes, you can have pie.
Are you going to have a competition for who can recite the most numbers in pi?
And no, we won't.
Sister is a middle school teacher, and she used to do this, and it got up to people were reciting like pi to 100 digits.
Oh my goodness!
And
Yeah.
so that was really fun. You could do that. Is the Historical Society an actual BID member?
We are not. We are
Got
just
it.
outside the boundary.
Just outside.
We'd love to
But you're
become
a
a member. We would love to become a member.
Oh, we have we can
I-
get them
I
on
guess we'll-
board.
We'll have to find out how that works. I'm not sure. I'm not
I've asked
familiar.
in the past.
I
We're
would-
just outside the boundary.
I would love to have you as a part of the membership. I was thinking that Louise
Oh,
could
It's by boundaries.
it's by boundaries.
It's by boundaries. So,
Right.
yes, correct.
I was
Gonna
thinking
be
that
ad hoc.
that perhaps Louise could promote this. But my more technical question was, what would you like the BID to do?
Well, if you have a moment, I
mean,
would
would you like
actually
us to just come? Would you like us to promote the event?
Oh, and this particular situation,
Yes.
certainly to help promote. But in the bigger scheme of things, I would really like to see the museum be included in events that are within the boundary. For example, the holiday stroll. The boundary cuts off right at Bennett. And we open our doors for the walkers, people that are going down to the event, but it's definitely barricaded off at that point where it kind of just separates us from the actual event itself. Other events as well. Trying to think of the car rally in the summertime.
Yeah.
A flashback. We're also outside that boundary. So we're not included in the flashback events. We go to the event, but it'd be wonderful if we could open our doors and be included as part of that enclosure, that boundary area. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Okay, and I do have one person on Zoom that wants to speak. So Louise, we're going to send you a request. Can you unmute yourself?
I sure can.
All right, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me. To echo the sentiment of having the Historical Society, yes, I would love to have you guys, but I know it's a boundary issue. But anyway, I just wanted to send over a social media update on my end, as well as how we're doing with the wine walk. I will also send these PDFs to the appropriate board members just so that they can have it for their records, or, obviously Alicia or Valerie. So over the course of February, we've hit just over 77,416 impressions, which means, we've reached a general like 77,000 views on our content, with an average of 1,211 unique people reached on a daily basis. We have a 0.95% growth rate on Instagram. So now we're at 6,559 followers as of right now. And, you know, the most popular performing events have been obviously Wine Walk, Galentine's Day, and things like that. You know, we're really leveraging the engagement that's happening within the community to feed our feed, because ultimately everyone loves what the stores are doing individually. So we're trying to make sure that everyone gets a fair share of promotion, and, you know, working with Megan to make sure we're up to date on our end. On the Wine Walk end, our initial post of the Wine Walk did fantastic. We had over 3,880 people see that post. And we're directing everyone to Wine Walk. We post on the feed. We have 2 static posts, meaning like if you were to go to our feed, you see something about the Wine Walk there. We update sponsors as needed, or any of those updates. And I do believe pre-sale prices end tomorrow.
Yes, that's
And
true.
we will, is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then so we'll, you know, we'll definitely be posting about that. And, you know, we're trying to make sure that we're posting on stories daily so that people are, you know, going to Wine Walk, and we're always, you know, that little circle is showing up on someone's profile. And, you know, our goal is definitely to sell out this year, obviously. So we have a Wine Walk committee meeting to talk about paid budgets and to see if we can boost a little bit, and just to see how that's doing. So those are my updates for March. We are, I know I have 20 seconds. For March, we are just focusing on all things Wine Walk and spring cleaning and all things green. So, you know, hopefully all the content's like reflecting, refreshing, renewal and energy and springtime. And that's what we did. Whereas February was about Valentine's Day, and launching the Wine Walk tickets. So those are my updates.
Does the social media update have to be part of public comment? Or is this a report?
Unfortunately, it's not on the agenda, so that's why she's reporting under public comment.
Got it.
So it's not up for discussion.
Can we have a report for the next meeting?
So you want to request to agendize that?
Yes.
Do we have a second? Okay. Any objections? None? Okay.
And also, I would like to thank Louise. She has been like instrumental helping us to promote International Women's Day. And thank you so much for all the posting and the emails and coordination with Megan. They have done like a tremendous job with that. And I think we found a formula how we can reach out to the business owners and everything. And she has been really very proactive and instrumental, and your responses and everything have been like super fast. So thank you so much for doing that, Louise.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to.
Okay. I invite reports from each board member.
The only thing that I have to report is that Dalal and I were not able to meet with regard to marketing committee, but we have a meeting set up for next week to talk about that and get that going. So
I don't have anything to report on the marketing part, like other than like what we have been doing with the International Women's Day with the collaboration with Louise and Megan. And then also it was brought to my attention about the lamp posts. I don't know if that's part of beautification through the bid, if that's something that needs to be addressed here in terms of how to do the maintenance and keep up and like cleaning that on the banners on that avenue. That's it for me.
Nothing to report. Wine Walk is next Saturday. If you can believe it. 6 to 9. We have 845 people signed up as of this morning.
how does that compare to years previous?
Much higher.
Great job.
I don't think I did anything, but
I wanted to report that I had done a little bit of digging on the addresses, the business licensing on Glendora Avenue through the city portal. And we do have a concerning number of people who do not have business licenses. So I would appreciate if the city could look into enforcing licensing on the avenue at least. I mean, we all pay into, having a primary spot here in Glendora, and we have a responsibility to make sure that everyone has a business license and is paying their proper assessments so that we can do our events for, the downtown, for all of the downtown. So thank you. And I have a list here if that helps.
Okay. I invite reports from our Community Development Director, Jeff Google, and Economic Development Housing Manager, Valerie Velasquez.
I'll just mention, I don't know if I mentioned it last month, but in February, Revved Up Coffee did get approval for an alcohol conditional use permit for beer and wine at their location. And I understand they're building out their tenant improvements before they open. They're at the north end on the west side of the street, and they're a coffee shop, and apparently we also serve food and alcohol. So they still have to get their permit from the state agency that issues the alcohol permit, but they got their approval from the City Planning Commission last month.
And I am going to forward my comment period to Alicia Zuniga, who will update you.
Good morning. So my updates are just pretty much in response to a couple of board comments that were made. I will start with Delil's comment regarding the banners. I'm not too sure if you're referring to the seasonal banners or the event banners, but we have been working with Rick at R&R to go ahead and look into options for new designs for new banners. They are a little dated and worn, so we're looking into that. And then in response to the business licensing, I just first want to start off by saying some businesses are signed up and registered under LLCs and different names. So unless you're searching by the exact name that they're registered under, you may not get a hit on the website. So it is a little finicky. That may be one reasoning, and not to say that your information is incorrect. So we'll continue to look into that.
Yeah, I did address and name. So
Okay.
if I couldn't find them by the address, because I did addresses 100 through 300. And every number in between. And then I walked up and down the avenue just to see if there was anybody that I missed, and wrote down names that I didn't recognize. Yeah, it took a while, but
Okay, we'll continue to look into that. And I also wanted to add to that we also started this week, a couple days ago, our effort to do a census, I guess in a way to account for who is downtown, and to locate the vacant units, and just to see who's in there, what they're doing, so we can make sure that we're assessing correctly for the businesses that are located downtown, and that we have an updated listing. So just wanted to provide that information to you all.
Thank you, Alicia. With the new businesses in town, we obviously want to welcome them and everything. Do you have a list of the new ones, like the shoe shop and things like that? And like there's been, I would call it rumors because I haven't confirmed anything until asking you about the Village shop, if it has been already leased out, or if there's a business coming in there.
Correct. So I believe there is a business going into there, and they're working through their permitting process right now. In terms of the shoe shop there, I believe it's Oh My Soul that's down there. So that is a new business. If you guys would like reporting on new businesses, that's definitely something that we can do moving forward, if that's something the board has an appetite for. And then we have Revved Up Coffee, of course, which Jeff kind of mentioned. I think that's about it in terms of new businesses downtown.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice. So then that way we can introduce ourselves. They make sure that they know that we exist, and like that we have our services with marketing and the events and everything. And I don't know, I mean, maybe it's like too short of a notice for the shoe shop with the wine walk and all that with permitting, with permits and licenses and everything, but just like to kind of catch them up with like what's coming up and all that.
Yeah, definitely we can do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia.
Okay. Special items. Presiding officer, read title into the record. Oh, for two. Okay, we're gonna move to the Business Improvement District Advisory Board reorganization. And I will invite City Clerk Specialist Lorena Cordova to report.
Okay, thank you. So due to the resignation of Chair Nolan, the office of Chair is vacant. So nominations are now in order for Chair. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Matt Klinger.
Okay,
I'll second that nomination.
do we have any other nominations?
And then Matt Davis for vice
So
chair.
right now we're just doing Chair right now.
Okay.
That's okay. So if there's no other nominations,
Not a
then.
I have a vision.
So, okay, so then that makes Matt our new chair. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can pass your gavel to yourself.
Okay, so then since that leaves a vacancy in the vice chair, I will now call for nominations for the vice chair.
Matt Davis.
Do we have any?
Second.
obje- Any others? All right, congratulations. So I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
All right. All right. Vice Chair selects, we're done with that. Invite President CEO Joe Cena to report. Hi, Joe.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
You look nice today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't
Sharp.
look nice yesterday.
Sharp today.
Short,
Sharp.
short or sharp?
Sharp.
Oh, okay.
This is
Oh, I
what it
never
wears
was called
every
short.
month.
Thanks.
We're happy that you're healthy and that you're here.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you scared us for a minute there.
Me
but
too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Are you doing good?
Yep, doing better. Thank you. Thank you very much. As mentioned, my name is Joe, I'm the president and CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Chamber's busy, as we usually are. But this afternoon, we have our monthly legislative meeting where we're talking about, or starting to talk about all the proposed bills that are going through the state. You know, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that they talk about between now and summer. Today, we're going to talk about, there's several insurance bills, because I'm sure if you pay for insurance, you've seen it go up and it's continuing to go up, and local agents say we haven't hit the middle of the issue yet. There's still a lot more to come. So we're going to be getting the presentation on a lot of bills regarding insurance today. This Saturday, we're doing a ribbon cutting for a new business down in Diamond Ridge called Crack Boba. It's some great boba, crack boba. It had their soft opening a couple weeks ago, but their grand opening is this Saturday. So if you want to join us for that. Next Thursday, we have our monthly lunch, which this one's going to be at Wang's Plastic Surgery down on Grand. But they're going to bring in Limon Mediterranean food from Glendora Market. So if you want to join us for some Mediterranean food and maybe Botox, I don't know. So please join us for that. Then we're also starting a group effort with a lot of chambers in the Valley. We're going to do monthly webinars, which the first one is on the 21st, it is at noon. They're free. Anyone can be part of them, and they're on Zoom. This one is entitled 2024 Landscape Trends and Challenges of 2024. We have a great speaker that's going to talk about, how to deal with things, professional development, and just what are the trends in business and clients, and how to get them and how to keep them, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and all of this is on our website to RSVP for. Then later on in the month, on the 28th, we're having our after hours mixer at Glen Oaks Golf down at the Top Golf or Top Tracer. So if you want to join us for that. But just before that, on Saturday, the 23rd, we're having our monthly Women of Business meeting, which we started these a couple months ago, which this one's going to be at Feel Good Nutrition down on Arrow by the old Vaughn Center there. And then looking forward a bit, we did announce that the 2023 Glendora Citizen of the Year which is Dr. Cliff Hamlow. So if you know Cliff, he's been in town forever, been part of a lot of stuff. APU, he's a Hall of Famer from APU basketball coach. He's current assistant coach with his son at GHS. He's been our legislative chair for years and a lot of different things. Cliff's been everywhere. If you Google Cliff, he comes up a lot. So the Citizen Year dinner will be April 18th at the Glendora Country Club. So the invitations should be out here very soon. So then we're also looking for the restaurants for our Cuisines of the Foothills, which is in May on the 15th. So we've already have many of them. So it'd be nice to get some Glendora Village restaurants as part of that too. So if there's any questions, I'll leave it at that. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot of opportunity to connect. So any questions at all? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'll now invite Megan Kay to report.
And she's on Zoom.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. So just piggybacking off of what Luis and Matt have already kind of touched upon in terms of the wine walk. So far, our sales are the highest they've ever been at this point in time during the process of planning wine walks. So that's been amazing. We are about 10 days out. So by the end of this week, we're going to be issuing just our general March newsletter to all the businesses in the village, just giving them a heads up of the event and then any other upcoming events that we have, in addition to any other just information that any businesses have sent me in the last few weeks that they want promoted. And then in addition to that, there'll be a separate email that will be going out to our pour stops specifically, just to remind them of the instructions and expectations for the wine walk. Special shout out and thank you to Juanito at Coco Vino, who ordered and orchestrated the wine selection for the wine walk. And he was able to get some really amazing selections that I think will really set Glendora apart from our surrounding wine walks that we see in other cities. So on that front, all the vendors have been secured. Wine has been ordered. So we're going to be looking forward to a busy week next week of distributing wine and just, ramping up for the event. Obviously, all of our marketing activity for this event has been promoted and pushed the last few weeks. I don't know if some of you guys have seen the banner across Glendora Avenue. We have some big banners that are strategically placed through the city to just remind Glendora residents of the upcoming event. Posters and handouts have been all distributed to all the businesses, including other just local surrounding businesses. So yeah, an exciting event, rain or shine. We're looking forward to it. Yeah, that's all I have in terms of that. Oh, and also Dela, to your point, I do want to also note Revved Up Coffee actually, I know you were talking about asking some newer businesses for participation. Revved Up Coffee actually is going to be a pour stop this year. So they were able to reach out during the process and ask for a spot as well. So yeah.
Hi again, that's awesome. And thank you again for the. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Megan, for that. And then also for, as I was saying earlier about the Women's International Day, that was very instrumental. And thanks again for everything that you've been doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, to new business and the Glendora Village Business Improvement District fiscal year 2024-2025 annual report. And I invite Housing and Economic Development Manager Valerie Velasquez to report. Am I doing okay?
It wasn't supposed to be me, but sure.
Oh, well, it says you.
I'm going to go ahead and transfer that to Alicia.
Common theme this morning of transferring items to me. Hoping she was going to take it. Okay, so this report is fairly familiar to you all. We're looking at a snapshot of the current fiscal health of the bid through January 31st, which is 58% of the fiscal year budget. Just so, as I mentioned before, the city is going through a citywide change of financial software. So with that, we're kind of working through the kinks of new features and things we have to work through. So with that, some of this information is not completely up to date, as we did hit a speed bump in getting invoicing process. So we're kind of lagged on that front. So just a couple of items in regards to revenue. Just wanted to point out the assessment, since that's been a pretty hot topic as of late with the bid. We're at 60% of what we should be at for the year. So we're about where we should be. And again, we're still kind of keeping an eye on what that looks like and what affects it throughout the year, business licensing and vacancies and things of that nature. Next, I wanted to go ahead and point out that I will be looking into the interest income. If you know, on the bottom there, the bottom row of the revenue section, it is a lot higher than it has been before. So I'm going to look into that and see what's affecting that number and inflating it. In terms of the Wine Walk revenue, it is pretty low. You won't really be seeing revenue for the Wine Walk until about May. It'll be a couple months behind. So now moving towards expenditures, pretty much the same. Like I said, there is a lag. There was a lag in invoice processing. So you're not going to see some of those Wine Walk expenditures that are in there, but they are there. What you will see is going to be landscaping and storage payments that occurs monthly and bi-monthly. So you will see that miscellaneous items are going to include, like I said, storage and banners, which again, we're looking into. So that number will be jumping up in the near future. Holiday stroll, I did also want to point out, you probably wouldn't notice, but last month it was a little higher than before. And it did decrease, and that is because community service does go ahead and hire part-time employees to go ahead and serve as elves for the event. So again, with the new finance software, that did get moved over. So you don't see that reflected in the budget here because, or I'm sorry, the budget snapshot, because it is not accounted for, but a personnel line item will be included next month. So with that, that is the bids and
I think
fiscal
we did the
report.
wrong one.
I jumped.
So
was
this is
wondering
number
why you're
6. She's
looking at me.
reporting out. Sorry.
How does that work?
Well, since you report out number 6, we can skip down to number 6. Now we can do the
Reschedule?
motion on that one, yeah, and have any discussion on that one. Just go down real
Oh.
quick. I didn't want to interrupt you.
You could have interrupted me. It's okay.
So this is what she reported out right now.
So this is a
Okay.
receive and file.
Yes.
This is just a snapshot of the
I re-
board's fiscal health.
I request a motion to receive and file.
I second.
Okay. And it was Finger, and then second was Snyder. So I will conduct an oral call vote for item number 6, which is the Business Improvement District Advisory Board fiscal year 2023-2024 fiscal report through January 31st, 2024, and bid expenditures for fiscal year 2023-2024 year to date. So just for the record, that's the one that she just reported. So let's do Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Snyder,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Chair Klingler.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. So now we'll go to item number 5.
Oh, okay. So that's the
The
fiscal-
Glendora Village.
Glendora Village Business Improvement District fiscal year 2024-2025 annual report.
Correct.
And I'm inviting who? Oh, Alicia again.
Yes.
Okay. Alicia, you are invited. to
Thank you, Matt.
report. You're welcome.
Being exciting this morning.
Yes.
Okay, so this is another report that you all should be pretty familiar with. This is going to be the bids 24-25 fiscal year annual plan. And that's why. Alrighty, so the annual report is, I just wanted to remind you all that it is required by the state and by the Glendora Municipal Code that this is reviewed and adopted to go ahead and have the bid be able to collect assessments for the bid members. The GMC does require submittal to the city council every year by June 1st, and that is why we start this process pretty early so that it can be included in the city's annual budget. There are multiple steps that are required. And again, this is why we present it fairly early in the year and before the city's budget is adopted. So it does require a budget review. The board will recommend approval of the annual report to the city council. City council will then review the annual report and resolution of intent to levy and collect assessments. Noticing is also done. This is done via U.S. Postal Service, as well as it is posted in the Examiner. Following that and before adoption, there will be 2 public hearings that are had. The items you see on this slide are the contents of the annual report and are included in your packet. The first being the bid boundaries. As of right now, there are no changes and there will be no changes moving forward. As kind of mentioned earlier, if there is ever an appetite for the bid to change boundaries, whether that's to make it smaller or to expand it, that's something that the bid can go ahead and explore at a later date. But for this year, they will remain the same. In terms of activity, your annual report does include the annual activities for the year, and that's going to include the amount that's budgeted and associated with the event. In terms of assessment methodology, there are no changes. It's going to be based on location, business type, and if the business is a primary or a secondary business. Surplus revenue is also included in the annual report as well. And also funding sources, which are going to be assessments and revenues that are generated through events and interest earned throughout the year. Bid boundaries, which you should all be familiar with. I'm going to skip that one. This is going to be the assessment methodology. And as I mentioned, this is going to be the same for, or as fiscal year 23-24. Some businesses are assessed $0. So those are going to be residential and any business that's on a side street, as well as I believe the businesses within the shopping center across from City Hall. Secondary businesses are going to be assessed $100 and primary businesses anywhere from $200 to $600, depending on, again, if they're primary business, business category, and business location. This is the proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25, and this is something that Valerie had gone over last month with you all, but just to kind of go over it again, revenue should be fairly similar to last year with assessments a little less than we have for fiscal year 23-24, and that's just to be conservative. The Halloween walk, we did include a revenue line item there. Previously, it was $0, and that's for sponsorship purposes. The wine walk we did increase. In previous years, it is closer to $60,000. Again, kind of going more towards the actual, but still remaining a little conservative with that number. Chalk Festival at $5,000 in revenue and interest being at $800 with a total of a little over $103,000 for revenue for the year. Moving to expenditures, we have marketing at $24,500, which is a little less, I believe, than this year. Landscaping did remain the same. For events, the asterisks were meant to kind of notate those items that have changes, but I don't believe that is accurate. So we'll start with the wine walk. It did increase by $5,000. And before I proceed, these increases are basically reallocations of that previous $50,000 line item that was included in this year's budget. It is called the new event service line item. So it decreased to $10,000. And again, that $40,000 is just redistributed. So we'll start with the wine walk, $5,000 there. The Chalk Festival remains the same. Small Business Saturday, I believe, also remained the same. Friday Night Twilight did increase significantly, I believe, by $11,000. And that's just to enhance and increase the performers that we have downtown. Halloween walk also increased, I believe, by $3,000, and that's solely based off of just inflation. Holiday stroll, I believe, increased as well by $2,000 for inflation, just the enhancement of the event. And the other line item that we have there is going to be that $17,000 line item for an event coordinator, which is Megan. So again, the $50,000 was just redistributed, leaving us at the same total as this fiscal year, which is a little over $150,000. And expenditures are expected to exceed revenue, which has been in the past, by $48,000. So this is what we're looking at, or the bid's looking at for projected fund balances. The City Council does recommend that the bid has a minimum fund balance of $10,000. And as in previous years, it's looking like it's going to be much more than that. So the balance is projected to be in excess of $100,000. And for fiscal year 24, we're looking at roughly $150,000. So again, the bid is still pretty fiscally healthy, but the fund balance will go down as years pass. So a couple of important dates to remember, and again, these should be familiar as they remain the same every year. February 1st, the bid will, which was last month, I'm sorry. Valerie went ahead and presented the budget, which you all approved. Today on March 7th, the bid will approve the annual report. March 26th, it will go to City Council to go ahead and adopt a resolution of intent to levy assessments. April 5th, the resolution and annual report is mailed to affected businesses. Again, that's going to be by US mail and in the paper. May 14th, City Council will hold a public meeting. And on May 28th, City Council will hold a public hearing and protest votes will be tabulated. And that is in regards to the assessment amount. So with that, I will turn it over to the board for review and recommendation to council to go ahead and approve the annual report.
Okay, number 5. I make a motion to,
You want to have discussion first before you call a motion? Call on questions?
do you guys have any questions, concerns?
I was just thinking about this, and I think so. The February meeting would be the meeting where we discuss or propose changes to the budget. Is that right?
Correct. That was last month when Valerie went ahead and presented the budget,
Mhm.
and I believe it was approved by the board. But
You-
yes,
You
Yes.
do have the opportunity to make changes at this time, however, before you approve it.
No, I think I'm just looking towards future years and wanting to get ahead of what will ultimately the budget shortfall over the next 3 years or so will, if that does become an issue, then I think it will be wise to talk about next
Right.
year.
So we are on a 2-year budget, so that $50,000 that was approved for 2-year period. When we presented it, we knew that it was not sustainable.
Right.
So as we start to prepare for next year, the board will be asked to discuss that.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
And would that also be a good time to talk about assessments and propose changes to those?
Yes, and I would say if there's consideration in taking a look at whether or not those need to be changed, you might want to start doing that earlier rather than later. Even, it's never too early because it'll be a process to get feedback and start talking to your neighbors and seeing what they would be agreeable to. I know when we did the survey, and I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, there was a significant amount that thought that they did get more benefit than what they were paying for their assessments. But you also had a quite a number that thought they didn't get enough. So you just kind of got to look at that and maybe do a little bit of surveying as to adjustments, if that's what you'd be proposing.
I'd like to make a motion to add it as an agenda item in the next meeting to just start talking about.
We could talk about the process if
Yeah.
you'd like. Okay,
Sure.
if there's a second for that.
A second.
Do we have any objections? Seeing none?
Anybody else? Is this receive and file?
Correct.
Okay.
No, actually, it's to recommend for approval to the City Council of the Business Improvement District's fiscal year 2024, 2025 annual report.
I'll
Yeah.
move to approve the budget, the annual report.
Perfect. Do we have a second? Okay, so I'll now conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Snyder.
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Chair Klingler.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, moving to closing comments. I invite board members and staff to give closing comments, if any.
My only comment is I think it's interesting to hear about the Historical Society. I know the Art Academy is also something that that is a real benefit to the community, and that a lot of people that we know take part in, including our family. So it'd be interesting to extending the boundaries of the bid. That seems like it would be a process, but including those two. The thing that I'm thinking about though is the fact that they would be secondary members anyway. They would not be assessed. And so the idea of adding them into the bid boundaries just so that we can include them in social media and promotion, they're actually not going to be paying anything for that. So that's why I'm thinking about the assessments and, is there, can businesses like mine that are a secondary, we're not even secondary. What is it? It's primary, secondary, and then.
So primary is just you're the only business in the location. So you're a primary business.
I see. Okay.
So,
All right.
so you'd be considered, if you had another business within your physical walls, they'd be secondary.
Okay. Got it. What would you call businesses that are off, that are non-assessed?
There's an adjustment for location. So if you're on Glendora Avenue on the street and you're forward facing, you get the full assessment, which is a 200. It's broken into 3 categories, but if you're on a side street or if you're upstairs, I believe it's a reduction of $100. So there's adjustments based on location.
And then there's an entire group that are exempt based on the use of the property, location, type of.
Okay.
entity.
So I count as an exempt business because we're off the avenue, but we're within the boundaries. But if I wanted social media promotion and I wanted to take part in all of this stuff, really I should be assessed. So that's kind of what I'd like to talk about going forward and just kind of be thinking about. It would be great to have the Historical Society and the Art Academy be a part of the bid, but I don't want to change the boundaries necessarily. And I wonder if there's and even if we did to include them, I still think that they should be assessed if they're going to be promoted. So those are just
We can bring that back. So at one time there, you were assessed a fee and the people across the street were assessed a fee. They just felt they were not receiving any benefit. So the city made adjustments, but we can revisit that certainly. And
they
see
probably
about
weren't at that time.
Right.
But now we have all of these mechanisms in place to be able to promote.
So we'll bring it back next month, and then maybe 2 of you can set up a committee and we can start discussing potential changes.
Well, also I had a question about, because the Historic Society is a nonprofit.
Which is why he was saying there'd be no assessment. They would not be assessed the way it's currently structured.
Well, I mean, just them being a nonprofit, could we include them regardless in like advertisement and stuff?
Then it
Because-
opens the door. I mean, they're not in your boundary, so are you going to just include any nonprofit?
Well,
So that opens a whole other discussion.
The boundary
Yeah.
issue first, and then it's a business type issue secondarily, I think, potentially. But
And does that also, if we review like the boundaries and everything, would that also include like, I don't know the difference between Vista Bonita and then Vermont, like where like there's new businesses now on Vermont, like the bakery, for example, and things like that. Can we revisit that as well?
You can revisit that. I mean, you would have to get their buy-in because they can come and oppose it. And if, we do that vote. So, but you can consider it and you can reach out. There's going to be some feedback required to see. I mean, I don't know how far you can push the boundaries. I know council had asked for the bid to consider expanding them. There was a discussion on whether or not it could be expanded all the way to Grand and down to Route 66. Maybe that's too far right now, but maybe if you just want to push it a little bit, because right now it does go to Vermont, but only on the east side, and on Vista Bonita only on the west side. But if you wanted to increase it to those that are facing, maybe, I mean, you can reach out. There's only a handful, right? You've got a new one to others. You've got the bakery. There's a few, not too many. So that's part of the discussion we can have if you guys want to have a committee to review the board boundaries and assessments.
Yeah, and it's a good idea to do outreach and see what extent, buy-in there is, because you want to be careful, I think, not to take actions that are going to, put the bid at risk. I mean, it's always in my mind that, the reason that there are a number of the exemptions and certain people don't pay and things like that, there was a true sort of revolt against the bid, and there were petitions, and really the bid almost went defunct. If the protest vote to to not impose the assessments that year. It was like 2012 or something like that. It almost killed the bid at that point. So you don't want to, overextend. You want to make sure that whatever areas that you're considering, like if you want to revisit the shopping center at the southwest corner of Foothill and Glendora Avenue, it should be outreach to those businesses, let them know, why we're doing it, what benefits they could receive from the bid that maybe weren't available, 10 years ago. Likewise with extending it east-west or further north or south, same thing, I think.
Do you think it might work if the boundaries were expanded, but there was but everyone was default exempt, unless they opted in for marketing and promotion and then were assessed? Would that structure work?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you could expand the boundaries and kind of as like, okay, we want to expand the boundaries and set the assessment at 0 for all of the expanded areas. How you determine who is charged and who is not probably needs to be established when you do your annual report each year, because that's also the time when you're stating what your assessments are going to be and who's going to be charged. So maybe there's a way to also do that. I can't think of exactly how that would work, but
Again, we'll bring it back. I think there's a way to do it. It just has to be thought out clearly.
Are we still like under discussion questions like closing?
Yeah, right now we're just, I think there was a motion to bring it back and it was seconded. So we'll bring it back and we probably discussed more than we should. So we'll continue it at the next meeting unless there's any other items.
I just have a question. I don't think we touched on of the vendors, if we are like for the wine walk. Were there any discussion with the police department or anything, or how is that gonna happen? Particularly with the hot dog and thingies.
Yeah, so we did reach out to the police department, and I spoke with code enforcement, and we will be giving them a list of outside vendors for the event. So they will have that readily available. They will be given Megan as a contact, and probably myself and Valerie, since we'll be at the event as well. And anyone that is not invited to the event that is not a brick and mortar within the village will be asked to leave.
And then like, who do we report to if we see anything? Like, who would be like that point of contact? Just like, so we are all like clear in that regard and not.
PD will be asked to reach out to myself, Alicia, or Megan, so you could let us know.
And we have a direct point of contact with PD, so.
Thank you.
Okay, adjourn the meeting.
One more comment just to kind of update you. So we are working, Alicia primarily is working with the chamber, and we're working on the memorandum of understanding for the transition. So we are preparing, or Alicia's preparing to have that completed, at least in draft format next month. So just wanted to give you guys an update that that's still moving forward, but we are still here, and it'll be a transition period. So we're not going anywhere super quickly, and we'll always be involved to a certain extent, but just wanted to give you that update as well.
So weekdays with the chamber, weekends with you guys. Get it.
And holidays.
And holidays, okay.
Is that something that we can add to the agenda next month to just have?
When we have that draft MOU, I think it's something we'll want to share with the board. So we'll bring it forward to you as an update. Yes.
Okay.
And then I also wanted to report the current vacancy that's in this board. The recruitment is open right now. I have set for 3 publications in the papers. The deadline to accept applications is April 1st. So if you know anybody, please have them fill out the applications.
They have to be a business on.
Correct. And they have to have a standing assessment. So they have to make sure they pay their fees. I do check into that.
Do we do that for everybody?
Anybody who applies, I check.
All right. Meeting adjourned at 9:35 a.m.